It started as an ordinary evening, the kind where routine dulls the edges of conversation, but then she looked at me across the dinner table, her eyes lit with a strange defiance, and casually announced, as if she were telling me she'd bought new shoes, "I'm going on a trip with my ex," and for a moment, time froze, the sound of the fork dropping from my hand echoing louder than any scream. Yet instead of breaking down or exploding with rage, something inside me shifted into a colder place, a place where pain transformed into clarity, and while she studied me with that smug little smirk, expecting a scene, expecting desperate questions, tears, or even begging, I gave her only two words that would haunt her forever: "Enjoy yourself," spoken calmly, like a sentence handed down, and the instant they left my mouth, her smirk faltered, her confidence cracked, because she hadn't expected indifference. She hadn't expected me to detach so quickly, and those words left her speechless, wondering if she had overplayed her hand, if maybe I had known more than she thought, and the truth was, I had, because for weeks I'd seen the signs, the secret texts, the sudden, girls' nights, that ended at dawn, the perfume that wasn't hers lingering on her clothes, the change in how she looked at me as if I were a burden instead of a partner, and though I wanted to confront her then, I chose patience instead, patience that allowed me to gather every scrap of evidence, every message, every picture, every detail of her betrayal, storing it neatly in a folder labeled "Truth," because if she wanted to humiliate me with honesty, I would bury her with proof, and so while she thought those two words meant surrender, they really meant the beginning of her end, because the moment she packed her bags, I was already in motion, transferring funds from our joint accounts, securing the deeds and titles in my name alone, contacting my lawyer with instructions backed by evidence that would strip her of claims, and when she finally left with her suitcase, forcing a fake smile as she kissed me on the cheek, I simply repeated the words, "Enjoy yourself," and watched her walk away, unaware that she was stepping into a trap of her own design, because while she was gone, lost in nostalgia with a man who had once broken her heart, I made sure the world she thought she could return to no longer existed. I closed her credit cards, removed her from insurance, froze her phone plan, and even sent a discreet but damning packet of her affair details to her boss, knowing her career was the last mask of respectability she had, and when she returned days later, glowing with the kind of happiness she hadn't shown me in years, dragging her suitcase up the porch with triumph in her eyes, she found the locks changed, her key useless, and a single envelope taped to the door, inside which was a printout of her own messages with her ex, with my handwriting scrawled at the bottom. "Enjoy yourself," and in that instant, neighbors watching from across the street saw her face collapse, her smile disintegrate, her suitcase drop open, clothes spilling onto the porch like the remains of a broken life, and though she called my name, screamed, even pounded on the door, I never answered, because my revenge wasn't in confrontation, it was in silence, in the absence of explanation, in the clean surgical cut that left her bleeding out alone, and as she drifted in the weeks that followed, abandoned by the ex who had no interest in her once the thrill was gone, jobless after whispers at her office spread like wildfire, desperate and clinging to friends who no longer wanted her drama, I built a new, stronger, freer, my revenge complete not because she suffered, but because she knew I had seen everything and still chosen not to fight for her, because my indifference was louder than rage, my silence more punishing than words, and every time she replayed that dinner announcement in her head, she heard my voice saying, "Enjoy yourself," and realized too late that what she thought was victory had been her own undoing, and that was the beauty of revenge. It doesn't need fire, it doesn't need fury, it only needs two words delivered at the right time, and the suspense that follows when the betrayer realizes the betrayed was never as blind as they believed.